Bravo, do you have people on point at Genesis?
Yeah, we got guys on C.
Alright, confirm. Take B as well.
Nice. Right, guys.
Today I'm going to tell you about one method of keeping the enemy on the back foot. Today I'm going to talk about some pre-capping.
Yeah, copy.
Sorry, you want Bravo on A?
Pre-capping is pretty self-explanatory. It involves taking a capture point before you can flip it. Like with every sport or game ever, you want to keep your opponent on the back foot and make sure that you control the outcome and not them. This is where pre-capping can come into play in Planetside 2.
Get the Valkyrie just hovering around the base. We'll use that as an extra spawn option. Right, guys, I want eyes towards A.
Pre-caps are often carried out when you are on the offensive, as in you're at a base and capturing it. And here's what you need to do to pre-cap. You want to wait until about 2 minutes on the clock and then make the call to set up a pre-cap. Now, this is also called the mid-cap point on a 4-minute base. So it's halfway through a 4-minute timer. Then what you want to do, you want to designate 1 or 2 people, a pilot and a close quarter combat infill. Then the pilot redeploys first, and the infill wants the pilot's en route to the next base. It's the next base along the lane you want to send these guys to. The pilot's obviously going to grab himself a stealth Valkyrie or a Galaxy and fly at max altitude. Then what will happen is you drop off the infill near the point on the next base from max altitude again, or above the canopy if you're on Hossin. Now I need to stress here, stealth is key.
No, put it on C point, put it on C point.
And then at about 30 seconds left on the clock at the previous base, the infill is past squad lead, so they can put down a beacon, nice and easy, and then the infill moves to the point and sits on it until they can cap. Now, if a cap on the previous base is guaranteed, then the entire squad can deploy on the beacon or into the Valkyrie no bother. If not, then it's best to keep the entire squad behind and take the risk of that infill being killed. It's worth taking a risk for because you can't really do anything without capturing the base you're wanting to take at that time. And after that point, the infill waits and then flips the point when they're able. The rest of the squad can now spawn on the beacon or into the Valkyrie if it's still alive. Valkyries are always a better spawn option than beacons because beacons have a longer timer. As a player and as a squad lead, always think about that.
Yeah, guys, when you die, just spawn in the Valkyrie.
There we go. It's very simple, and I probably made it sound a bit more complicated than it really is, but basically you send someone to flip a point on the next base and put a beacon down. Easy. Now, you always want to try and set up a pre-cap to keep the enemy on the back foot, as I've already mentioned. It's also referred to as tempo in by various other people, which is fine. Terminology doesn't really matter. And quite often you might also find that on live, your opponent may take as long as 2 minutes to redeploy back onto you, with the exception of some players and leaders that are, kind of switched on. Now, pre-capping a base successfully is the only real way to secure a base once it's been captured. And if you can get some time on the clock, you can go elsewhere as well, and not worry about the base with your name on it that you just capped, the one that's nice and pretty.
Come back here, raise him up.
We're about to lose a base.
Raise him up. I don't care.
Worth it.
It's also a pretty good way to beat back some Zergs, because, as we know, Zergs are slow. And combining this with some decent inter-platoon coordination, i.e. command chat, quote-unquote, is actually really fun. So yeah, in another thing as well I'm going to mention, in some organised platoons, if you're a platoon leading a 4-platoon squad, think about this. If you've got a squad that's en route in a Galaxy, send them ahead. If you don't need them, send them ahead to the next base. You don't need to have all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. You can put one in the next basket or base. So yeah, as a platoon lead, think about assigning this task to a squad lead and let them be responsible for it, so you don't have to worry. And if you do remember, you can just check back again later.
I need you to make a fire line around smoke.
But yeah, that's it. That's pre-capping. It's nice and simple, and the small tactics for use on the battlefield and pushing up a lane. For anyone listening to this, that's been on Miller towards the end of last year. You'll probably have heard that because we've been screaming about that to absolutely everyone. That'd be the Miller command team for Series Mesh. And yeah, pre-caps are important. They're very important to get down right. It's easy. Like I said, infill, spawn beacon, Valkyrie, or Galaxy. Done. But yeah, so best of luck testing out on the battlefield if you haven't done it already. And hopefully see you next time for another video. So I'll see you later.